Hey everyone, Brandon here with Galloway Precision. Today we are going to go over the installation of our new trigger for the High Point series of pistols for the C9, C380, and I'm pretty sure it'll work in the 40 and the 45 as well, but we haven't had them in to tear apart and test yet. Design is the same in the C380 and the C9, so I would assume it's the same all the way through. First thing we're going to do is go over tools you're going to need. You need your bench block. You're going to need your VC3, which if you're using VC3, I've already treated the screw that's in here, but you're going to want to go ahead and put it on now and let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes and allow it to cure, or blue Loctite. Alright, blue Loctite don't put on now, just the VC3. 1/8 inch punch, 3/32 punch, your .050 Allen wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a brass and polymer punch, or like mine, a combo, or punch, hammer. It's Monday, can you tell? Alright, so we've gone over the tools you're going to need. Let's go ahead and lock and clear the weapon. Alright, we are visually and physically empty. Go ahead and drop the magazine. We don't need it, so we're going to set it off to the side. And take your bench block, flip it over to the flat side. Now the way a High Point breaks down, for those of you who already own one, you know. Those of you who don't, you're going to rack it all the way back and put the safety up into the takedown lever here. Turns into the takedown lever, I should say. It goes into that spot right there. We're going to take our 1/8 inch punch. Now when you first start out, you're going to get kind of an angle like this. Once you get it started though, just muscle the slide back. Go ahead and drive that pin out. Yes, this slide is milled. This is actually my personal C9. I've had this thing for years, and we've been using it to test all the new products we're making. We do mill the slides. Any of you who follow us on Instagram, head over to the Pew Pew channel. We did his slide. We did his whole slide and Cerakote and everything. You got to go check out the High Peasy. It's great. All right. So we've got our pin out. We're going to take that off to the side. Now, here comes the somewhat tricky part. You're going to take and push the safety down. And I'll go ahead and let it slide forward. Notice I did it really easy. This little ball piece right here is attached to a stem that goes down into the grip frame. That's how you take this apart. So, when you pull to the rear, keep your finger over the hole here on the side. When you pull this to the rear and up to disassemble, make sure you keep your finger there, because I got lucky, it lodged in place, but watch what happens. See how it flew forward like that? If it doesn't stick like that, like it should, what will happen is, if you don't have your finger over this, this will go flying out, spring will go flying out, and the sleeve will go flying out, and good luck finding that little plastic sleeve. So leave the stem in the back. We're done with the slide, set it off to the side. I'd also like to point out that this has our stainless steel guide rod in it. This gun, since the guide rod was made and installed, probably has about 250 rounds on it now. So no, stainless steel guide rod is not going to hurt your High Point. These are for sale on the website as well. So we're done with, we don't need the guide rod in the spring, so we'll set it off to the side. Go ahead and flip it over to the right side. Now one caveat, when I pull this grip panel off, most of you who have a newer model C9 are going to notice a magazine disconnect safety in yours. I don't have that in mine. Haven't for years. Have no idea what I've done with it. So take your Phillips head screwdriver, remove your grip screw. Grip panel is going to come off. It is a bar that runs right here. Alright, that goes up into the mag well. And what it does is, when there's not a magazine in here, it's spring loaded. It pushes up onto the back of this and doesn't allow it to drop. So you can push the trigger, but nothing's going to happen because it creates a mechanical lock right there. Mine's gone. Took it out. No telling where it's at. The other thing of note, make sure that you keep an eye on your mag release spring right here. It goes into the side of the mag release. When you're manipulating this around, it has a tendency to want to fall out. So now that we have our grip panel off, we're going to take our trigger pin out. So holding the spring this spring, just like I said, so we don't lose it, we're going to flip over, take our 3/32 punch, and 1/16 punch will do the same thing. We're going to push our trigger pin out. Now yours may be a little tougher. Like I said, we've been testing parts on this for the past couple months, so mine comes out fairly easily. Now when you push it out, you're going to notice it's got curvature to it. I've seen it installed both ways on different high points. Mine was always installed with the curve on the right side of the gun, so that's how I'm going to reinstall it. If yours is different and it's on the other side, install it back the way it came out. Always install this trigger pin however it comes out of the pistol. Alright, so now we are ready to take our old trigger out. Now this is the prototype trigger. Yours is going to look a little different, but it's going to come out the same way. You're going to pull back on the trigger bar. It's going to cant. You're going to turn. Trigger is going to go into the trigger well, or mag well, correction. And that's it. We're going to pull it right out. Alright. So we're going to set the frame off to the side for a second and bring our bench block back up. Alright. Put your trigger bar over the hole. Line everything up. You're going to take your 3/32 punch. You're going to drive out the trigger pin, or the pivot pin, I should say. Alright, now, another caveat here. I have again seen this both ways. This little pin, you can see, it's hard to make out in the video, but you're going to have three little points, three little striations. What that is, you know, it digs into the plastic of the old trigger. So however you remove this, whichever side those three slits are on, you're going to put it back in the trigger the exact same way. Mine drives from left to right. Is it wrong? Is it right? Who knows? It's been that way forever, so I just did it the exact same way when I installed the prototype trigger that it came out of the stock trigger. Alright, now when you go to pull out your punch, keep your thumb over the trigger bar in case that the trigger spring wants to get loose. You're going to pull your trigger bar out, drop your trigger return spring out. Now, we're done with our old trigger, set it off to the side. Important note on the trigger return spring. It's hard to make out, but this side is tapered, this side is completely flat. When you go to put in your new high point trigger, make sure that the tapered end goes in first. The reason for this being, right here on the trigger bar, and that arm right there is when it interacts with that spring. So if you have the tapered end facing this, it's going to act all funky. It's not going to want to press the trigger bar correctly. You want flat to flat. So just remember that, flat to flat. Alright, so now we're going to get our trigger bar, or trigger pivot pin started so we can put the trigger bar back on. It's Monday, my brain's working faster than my mouth. Alright, so what I have an entire set of them from Brownells. Is a roll pin holder. This one's number 19. It is cut flat right here. It's for holding 3/32 pins. Alright, so put the wrong side in. I'm going to use that for this, and you just want to get it started. If you don't have this, they're $15 plus shipping from Brownells. Another thing that will work is a small pair of jeweler's needle nose pliers, because you just want to hold it enough to where you can get it started. We're not driving it all the way through, we just want to get it started in the trigger. Alright, so we've got our trigger return spring in there, tapered side in first. We're going to go ahead and take our trigger bar, put it in, and we're going to look and make sure that we have everything lined up. Alright, and we do. And so it should sit just about like it is now. Roll it over. And if it moves a little bit, you can kind of eyeball where it's going to line up at. And drive the pin just a little bit more. It should give you some friction, and then you'll feel it drop down into the hole As you can see, it's in the hole. We're good. So go ahead and finish driving a little more, and then take your 1/8 inch punch and drive the pin home. Alright, so we've got that part done. Notice that I have the post-travel screw sticking out about 3 threads. That's where you're going to want to have it when you reinstall it, because there's a lot of distance that it's going to cover between the back of the trigger and this shelf right here. So if you have it all the way inside, it's going to take you forever to adjust. So let's go ahead and reinstall our trigger now, and come in at this angle, slide it into the trigger well, not the mag well, trigger well from the mag well. See what I did there? Alright, so once we've got it all lined up, we're going to take our trigger pin. Oh, should give me a time. There we go. Get it all lined up. Go ahead and push that in, and then give it a little tap. Alright, it's seated. We're ready to put our grip panel back on. Also, as you can see, what's installed is we've got our traction grips that we get from Traction Grips directly. We sell these on the website and Amazon. They're installed. Makes a big difference in this old gun. It's much easier to hold on to with that. Get a nice good front strap, good back strap, and then the panels themselves. Alright, so now what I like to do is I'll move the trigger, make sure that the sear's moving, everything's moving the way it's supposed to. Alright, so now I'll go ahead and give it about 3 full turns if I can. Alright. And that'll get us close to where we want to be. So now, the next tricky part is going to be reinstalling. Oh, where did that come from? Somehow I've managed to get anti-seize on my hand somewhere. Got it all over the trigger. It's neither here nor there. Anyhow, so what we're going to do, that's driving me nuts though. Get that cleaned up a little bit. So now, we're going to reinstall our slide. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is take our guide rod and spring, recoil spring, go ahead and put them in. Again, the recoil spring is going to be tapered a little bit more on one end than the other. Both ends are tapered, so it doesn't really matter, but you want to stick the most tapered end on the guide rod. Alright, go ahead and stick that in. Now remember, we're going to keep our finger over the back. Line up your recoil spring with this little nub that sticks off the end here. That's what the recoil spring rests against. Barrel in. Alright. Now here's where it gets tricky. This thing's going to want to rotate on you. If you see it starting to do that, you can take your pliers, alright, and turn it so that your holes are side to side the way they should be. And then just push it on down in. Alright, now we're going to rack it to the takedown, put the lever up. We're going to take our takedown pin, our roll pin here, get it started. Just like when you first took it out, you can see you got some flex. Once you drive it about halfway in, it's going to straighten that on its own. You take your 1/8 inch. And it's really important that you make sure it's equidistant and flush on both sides. Otherwise, the slide's not gonna work all that great. And then you can go ahead and make sure that it's countersunk. All right, you can see right here we've countersunk on both sides. We're equidistant. We're ready to go. All right, go ahead and push down the safety. It's gonna let the slide go forward. All right, now if you have the model or still have your magazine disconnect safety in, you're going to need to insert an empty mag for this. All right, if you want, go ahead and put a snap cap in. And what we're going to do is adjust the over travel. So what I like to do, we've already adjusted it quite a bit, so I'm going to give it 4 or 5 more half turns before we go into minute adjustment. All right, so it's still falling. We're going to just keep going. What you're aiming for is you want to adjust the post-travel screw clockwise until the firing pin won't move. All right, so now we're there. We've got it stopped. It's now 1/4 turn at a time. Counterclockwise, pull the trigger. Counterclockwise, pull the trigger. All right, we're almost there. Would have helped if I did that to begin with, huh? Might have over-adjusted. It's the one thing with these that's a little tricky. If you're used to working on other pistols, you will forget that this actually has to be racked all the way to the rear to get reset. Just going to there is not going to do it. So, you're going to fumble along with me while I do this. All right. Alright, so now I've made myself look stupid and entertained you all at once. 1/4 turn, pull. Oh, so right there. There it is. It's right on it. So now, what you want to do when it's that close, just go ahead and give it one more 1/4 turn. And that's it, guys. We're adjusted. We're done. And there it is. Nice short pull. Nice short reset. So, I mean, it's going to make a huge difference in this pistol. And some of you are looking at this right now and watching going, why would I do that? One, let's be honest, this is a fun little gun. I mean, it's inexpensive, and, you know, I've never had any problems out of this gun. A lot of people are going to call BS, that's fine, but honestly, I feed it a 115 and 124 grain steady diet of PMC and never had a problem out of it. And I've had this thing for 5-6 years now. I mean, is it ugly? Oh yeah, it's hideous. Can you use it as a trout anchor? You sure can. But you know what? The stupid thing works. And the reality of it is, if you're looking for a good trunk gun, or this may be your first pistol because it's all you can afford, and I completely understand that. You're talking to a guy who lived out of his car when he was 18, 19 years old. This is going to make a big improvement to this little pistol and make it very usable. I mean, the trigger's there now. It's nice and short and crisp. I mean, it's a decent little setup, and this is going to make it that much better. I had one analogy I read on Facebook that was perfect. You know, think of this as your first car. If this was your first gun, you want to do little things to it. This is also a good gun to learn the fundamentals and to take apart and not worry if you get it back together and it doesn't work. It's $150. Not a huge deal. But all in all, the stainless steel guide rod, the milling, and the trigger make this a completely different pistol. And while a lot of us treat it as a joke, it's still a firearm, and it works. And that's a lot of people's first firearms, and that's why we are introducing the parts we are, because everybody wants to be able to make the pistol the way they want it to be, whether it be a $170 High Point or a $4,000 Nighthawk. Everybody loves to modify their guns. We're here for you for that. We cover now everything literally from the High Point up to Kimber. So be sure to stop by the website and see what else we can do for you. If you have any questions about the install or anything else, or just my meandering thoughts throughout these installation videos, feel free to email me at that's TECH, at GallowayPrecision.com. Be sure to follow us on social media. That's the best way to stay up to date on everything that we're doing, because I'm constantly posting on Instagram and Facebook new products, finished projects, things of that nature. So be sure to follow us on social media. Here on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe below. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Be on the lookout for some new SCCY products on the horizon. They're going to be done pretty soon. We've got a short stroke hammer in the work for it. We are revisiting the RM380 disaster that it is, but we are going to make a hammer for it. So be on the lookout for that. New Kydex products coming out. Be sure, big thing is to take a look at our new knife selection. We are a cold steel dealer. We're dipping our toe in the EDC side of things more and more. We're going to be selling the knives, but also making custom sheaths for them that are there to outperform the stock sheath that comes with it. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Recap. If you need anything, email me. Be sure to follow us on social media and be on the lookout for new products coming soon. And as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.